I don't really like working.
I only work remotely.
I'm gonna need 8 weeks of paid vacation, maybe 12.
I take a lot of breaks. I feel more mentally healthy.
I'm gonna need a priority parking space.
Do you have non-dairy options in your coffee bar? Do you have soy? Do you have a decaf, half-calf kind of thing? Interviews are so boring.
How's your game?
Do I need to call my dad? You work for him, you know.
You guys are so intense. Like, do you always work this hard?
You don't run a daycare, you run a business. That's why you need redballoon.work.
I think you need me more than I need you.
America is a country that was founded for the purpose of allowing Christians to do their duty before God and not to have their consciences ruled by the doctrines and commandments of men. Reese Fund exists in order to see the 10 Commandments properly applied, not just as a plaque on the wall, but to actually be used in business as though they're commandments from God that we're supposed to obey. Our goal is to find businesses and to buy them and to build them up. We want to find manufacturing businesses and use them to make sure that we can maintain our capacity to do things here. Reese Fund, Christian capital, boldly deployed.
Hey y'all, welcome to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. It is Monday. It's Monday. It's good to be with you. We already got friends from the UK coming into the show here on our chat group.
What time is it in the UK? Is it past your bedtime?
It's Cross Politic time.
It is Cross Politic. So
they're like,
get your late night coffee.
It's 2 a.m.
Must be
it's
working
time
the
for
late
Cross
shift.
Politic.
Must be working the late shift. I love it. I talked to a guy last week. He's a listener, and he became a Christian 6 years ago, and he's in med school in London, but born in Italy and everything. But want to talk about baptism and all that stuff.
Yeah. Born in Italy and everything,
and all that stuff. You know,
he's like normal.
Yeah, we don't understand those guys. Hey, one of the things I'm working on, and we hope to launch at our Fight Laugh Feast conference October 31st, is we're working on. I've been saying this to the guys forever, and I'm finally pulling the plug. I got to talk to Ron.
Pulling the plug means you're
stopping it.
Means you're not doing it.
I'm pulling the plug and starting it.
And y'all know what we have to deal with now.
That's
you know what we got to deal with.
That's it. Yep. We're pulling the plug and we're starting
it. Finally. I talked to Ron Hensel. You guys remember Ron?
No.
Our boy, he's the elder.
Yes, I do remember Ron.
Dude,
Ron's got some knives.
He was such an encouragement. I talked to him because here's what, we've been wanting to create a journalist in every state. I want a Christian journalist. I want to bring back the fourth estate, create one. Build a journalist network in all 50 states. There we go.
We're going to pull the plug and we're going to create.
I want to pull the plug on journalism in all 50 states.
Sorry. We're like not letting you finish a sentence.
So if you're interested, but I've already been talking to some really cool journalists as part of this.
Yeah.
I'm working with our boy he stayed at your house, Virginia. I'm not going to say his name because,
oh wow!
You remember the guy that stayed at your house when it's playing?
He's so undercover.
That's
that guy.
People stay at my house.
He's helping me and Stuart from Page 50. They're going to be running social media on this. So we're building a news website that's going to basically we're going to be working with. We're going to be building out 50 journalists in every state. One Christian journalist per state is my initial goal. That's not very much in the long run,
right?
But if you guys are basically interested in being a journalist, and reach out to me, waterboy@crosspolitic.com. I'll put you through the process. Part of this, one of the things I'm putting in the process is you got to have a pastoral letter to me, on your integrity and honesty of who you are as a journalist. And
I like that.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's good.
And so this is going to be a honest Christian journalist network. But Ron was just like cheering me on.
Oh.
He's like, "You go, boy."
Nice.
And
was he really?
Cool. Yeah, he was just being very encouraging, and because he's a legacy guy. He's telling me, it's kind of an accident. People think I'm a journalist. Right. I'm like, man, whatever I've read from you has been nailed.
His research,
so good.
his details, phenomenal.
So, but
we need more of that kind of reporting.
So is he coming on board, or is he?
And no, he's got an older mom. I think it's his mom or his mother-in-law that they're taking care of, and then he's in a big church fracas that he told me about with some church discipline stuff. So he's got a lot of focus.
We need more accidental journalists like Ron Hensel.
Well, that's why I hope this process can create, because we're going to have this. Our website's going to be fantastic. Yeah. It's crosspoliticnews.com is what it's going to be. Crosspoliticnews.com.
Okay.
And there's all sorts of plans I have for it, but you got to go through a process. If you want to be a journalist,
he is totally gonna pull that plug.
Yep.
Here we go.
Wouldn't it be great to have a White House journalist? Like somebody that'd be great.
So real. I am probably half a degree away. If we got a journalist in DC, I'm about half a degree away from Kevin Bacon and Trump on that one, and I might be able to get White House credentials if Trump got elected, and everything's possible.
Oh my goodness.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you later.
Y'all know that optimizing both body and mind will support spiritual growth and can help strengthen the foundations of church, family, and community. It's easy for both the hardcore gym rat and the chair-bound book lover to miss the holistic nature found in wellness of body, mind, and soul. At Mount Athos Performance, we understand that true health integrates physical, mental, and spiritual excellence. Our product line is crafted with purity and sustainability and is designed to fuel your active lifestyle and your pursuit of excellence. Ascend the mountain with Mount Athos Performance. Visit athosperform.com/FLF. Use code FLF25 for an exclusive discount. Join us in creating the next generation of health, strength, and spiritual vitality. Hey, you guys should ask me what I'm drinking right now.
Mount Athos?
Hey, Pastor, what you drinking over there?
Mount Athos Recover.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I'm about to recover.
All right.
I'm about to recover right now.
Neil, a video from Robert is in our email. I don't know if you can get that and bring it in.
Oh, I like this. I mean, this is gonna be
Let's see if you can bring it in.
Can you grab that?
So tomorrow, the other thing we forgot to mention is tomorrow we're going to be live streaming the debate at starting at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay.
And we got all sorts of fun guests coming in like we normally do on our live stream. Well, if Rod Martin's feeling better, he wants to come in.
Tell Rod feel better.
Oh no, feel better,
yes,
Rob.
Feel better.
He thinks he'll be fine. We got oh man, my wife just texted me saying to call her real quick.
Not on the show, Gabe. We don't want it. Oh no.
But you're going to be on the show next?
I think so. I don't know. Gabe hasn't told me everybody's going to be
Am I on the show?
That we'll see.
Yeah. I thought we were going to talk about like.
I just got to. She never texts me to do this, but she said call
Is everything
me,
okay?
and I'm like I'm texting.
Take your time. Take your time. You know, we're just doing a live show.
While she's getting back.
Are we going to talk about like illegal immigrants eating ducks?
Yeah. So this.
Or cats?
I
don't know if there's a cat.
Over the weekend.
Yeah.
This story kind of blew up over the weekend.
Right.
Where,
It's been blowing up.
It's been blowing up. Where some illegal immigrants are doing, third world country pagan practice menus. And
Wait, are all of them illegal? That's the thing. I don't know if all of them are legal.
I heard that the Haitians in that one town have been executive ordered legal.
Springfield, Ohio.
Like they did an executive order and they're like legal.
Are you serious?
That's what I read. If you believe in the Twitters.
So you're saying like
we got producers that can figure this out.
No, executive.
Adam, jump on it.
No, this is from the top. Like this is from like Biden. Like Biden.
He just kind of did a little holy water. And
he like made a sign of the cross and said, "You're legal now."
Huh.
America.
I don't think that's how that happens.
America.
Where all the Baptists at? They want confession first. We need a Baptist to have a fit right now. I need the Baptist to be like, no, they ain't professed citizenship
You
yet.
can't just make it. That's some sacrilege right there. That's
Baptist, it's your time.
Okay, so this is happening in
Dr. White, you got this.
Springfield, Ohio.
Yes.
Okay, it's one of the areas.
Springfield. There's like
one of the
Springfields
areas of outbreaks.
Of duck hunting.
Of duck hunting and cat hunting.
Okay.
And this is,
We don't know about the cats. We still don't know about the cats.
Listen to our boy from Springfield City Council Commission here. Go.
I challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into... They flipping cars in the middle of the street. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them. Like, we got to do something, bro. It's kids out here getting hurt. Like, only reason I even went on here and said something about it is because somebody told me they walking from the school and a Haitian almost ran into them. And who is getting paid? Like, how much money is y'all really getting paid, like, to bring them over here?
That
like,
sound racist.
I know it's deeper than them. I know that's where they come from, and that's what they do.
It's deeper
That's
than them.
they country. I don't know what they got going on over there, but they can't do that over here. And if y'all just getting paid from it and then y'all ain't doing nothing about it, I think that's super weird.
Oh.
Hey, did you want to check and see if he wants to join with the since he's out there on the street doing journalism?
That would have been exactly.
I would like to know. I mean, he's already on the ground.
That's right.
I love, dude. I know you're not listening to this. We should find. I love to talk to him.
Yeah, for
I
real.
really would. I love to talk to him and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah,
know
yeah.
everything that he's seeing, everything that's
I'll
going
get
on.
our producers on that. That could
Because
be really
what's
interesting.
interesting about this is that this isn't like necessarily a news story. This is a guy on the ground giving eyewitness
right.
of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's and he's asking them if they're getting paid.
That's
for this the busing in
He said,
of all
I
these
know
immigrants.
there's more going on
Right.
than just these Haitians coming over here. Where's the money coming
Right,
from?
they're driving into buildings,
Yeah.
flipping cars in the middle of the streets,
Yeah.
and catching ducks.
He's catching ducks,
Cutting
cutting
off
their
their
heads
heads off.
He was talking about the fact that y'all are out here. You got
Cops and
police
patrols.
officers and patrols that are running around here, and y'all coming after everybody who's not driving, but us. But y'all can't take and redelegate what they're doing over here to chase down people who are driving funny to taking care of this area and dealing with it because we know you have money to do that. How come you're not delegating the services?
What you doing with that money?
Yeah, what are you doing with that money? And so he's asking him. It's funny because I was thinking to myself, if Joel Webbin was asking this question, everybody would say he's racist.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's really been interesting to watch kind of this narrative develop because you have a bunch of Christian nationalists who've been talking about multiculturalism and talking about the failure of it, the problems of it,
right?
And that it's not conducive to American society. And then here are people on the ground. I don't think just here. You have Colorado who are saying, "Wait a second, man, those folks from Venezuela, they running up here acting crazy."
Right.
In Chicago, they acting
taking
crazy.
over apartment complexes.
I was watching a video
guns.
just recently about a couple different people in New York, but particularly in Chicago, of people saying, wait a second, this is a year ago, and I just watched it today. There's $50 million going to people that are not American citizens.
Illegal immigrants
and
in Chicago.
You're sitting here, and we talked about this on the show before. What about us? What about the things that we've been going through and we're trying to deal with? And you got these people coming in, you're just creating buildings for them. You're giving all this $50 million set aside for them. I just watched, it shouldn't even have been a law, but I just watched in California, Gavin Newsom vetoed a bill. What was it? $150,000 potentially for illegal immigrants to be able to buy homes, down payment
So
for.
it made it up to Gavin's
I believe
desk?
he vetoed it. Adam, check me. Fact check me.
Did it?
We got
Did he
to
veto it?
I believe he vetoed it.
Wow, I'm surprised he
But
vetoed it.
the fact that
He's
it was
a racist.
Yeah.
the fact that he even made it that far up,
Yeah.
you know. But I think
That's
he's trying.
incredible.
I think he's playing the centric game because he's
Yeah.
looking for the next 8 years, and he's like, man,
Yeah.
it's gonna be my time soon, Kamala.
Well, everybody's leaving California.
Yeah,
I mean, people are just streaming out of California. Elon's moved out now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're running out of there. They're getting out of there as fast as they can because those policies are destroying the economy.
Yeah.
And
well, Kamala's very proud of what she's done.
She was AG of California. So our producers are amazing. They found this clip from Kamala in 2021 talking about Haitian immigration.
Okay.
That is why, also, starting with our administration, we gave TPS, temporary protected status, to Haitian migrants, 55,000. And then more recently, we extended temporary protected status to over 100,000 Haitian migrants for that very reason, that they need support, they need protection.
Oh.
So just a little context here behind this clip was the big earthquake was a month after these comments.
Right.
So you do have some kind of humanitarian outreach to Haiti for the
Is it still earthquaking over there?
No. Yeah, how do you return them?
I'm just wondering, like, when is it? Have we marked off when it's safe for them to go back?
Temporary. Did you say temporary?
Right, exactly.
Right.
So when is it safe for them to go back to the place?
And why do we? I mean, if you want to help them there, fine. But why bring them here? And what about the poor ducks?
So there's all these the meme one. Watch this. I love you.
So
I love you.
Somehow
AI.
That's total AI.
For such a time as this.
So for people who are
such a time
listening,
as this.
we're going to have to explain one day. You know, when you go back and you look at history, we're in a whole new place.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was drawings and all sorts of things that have historical moments that we've documented. Now, we're going to have to answer to our great-grandkids why Donald Trump is sitting here with ducks and
cats. Why was he kissing ducks?
Right.
And why did he say, I love you, Dad, to that mallard?
We're going to have to explain this. We're in a whole new
Why
era.
is he in an airplane, in a private jet, surrounded by ducks and cats?
And this is a great time to be alive. That we
I
can do
love that
this.
one. Look at that
Gabe,
one.
I have no idea why you put this in the show. It just makes you feel
It's
good.
kind of a funny bone. That was it. That was it.
There's Donald Trump.
So-
Trump is doing the. He's like Navy SEAL in it, Army Ranger in it.
He's got a cat on his shoulder.
Up to the chest.
Oh, my goodness.
in the
I seen
water. He's in military
Yeah.
fatigues. He's got a cat on his shoulder.
You know, some
duck
people are
in front of him.
Some people are going to say that this is fake. And I just want y'all to know.
Cats for Trump.
I bet.
They're like, all the cats are now voting for Trump now.
Well, PETA came out and supported Trump. You know that, right? But at least I'm expecting to hear from PETA pretty soon.
Well, but here's, I guess, what's not surprising
hold
to
your
me
breath.
is
Don't hold your breath.
a third world country immigration coming into. You got illegal immigration coming into our country,
Right.
And they're pagan third world countries,
wait.
significantly pagan third world countries.
So are they doing like pagan rituals, or is it just like this is how we eat?
I've heard some reports of like pagan rituals, but like this is what's mostly been going on here is I think a food thing.
Like we're hungry. Hey, there's a duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
In our country, you see a duck, you can eat it.
well, in Texas, they're erecting statues that are false gods going up.
Yeah.
I think, though, for me, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is not American culture.
Right.
Right. This is not how we have historically been.
Yeah.
We don't act like that here. Here he said, like, that's not what we do. They do that over there.
you're right.
And he's
Right.
being so clear. He's like, they do that over there.
We have a way of life.
But even though he is, wherever he is, whatever Ohio is, whatever Springfield, this ain't it.
Right.
And y'all know that, and you're supposed to be protecting whatever this is.
Yeah.
But the problem that I think has happened is that nobody has been able to define this anymore.
Right.
What is this?
What is this?
You mean like what is our culture?
There
what
is no-
what is our identity?
Yes.
What is that?
Yes.
What you're,
Absolutely.
Is that what you mean by this?
There is no identity marker for what American society is supposed to be. We've lost all of the historical connections to what we are, where we came from, and how we're supposed to be treating the environment we're currently in. And this has been the argument against multiculturalism. When you have multiculturalism come in, whatever this is gets blown away. It's gone. And I was looking at this, it's like there's no integration point at all in America for people to come from other cultures and then to become Americans.
Yeah.
And now whatever American is, it's
what does it mean to be an American?
Right.
You got to come to prodigalamerican.com to find out.
well, yeah. I mean, it was Christian. That's what it was.
Yeah, right,
Like, That's
right.
what America. You
That's
are
exactly
a Christian.
right.
You come here as Christian,
Right.
and we have, from all the history handed down to us, have a clear understanding of how we should be treating the things that God has made. Right.
Yeah.
This is the way we drive. This is where we drive on the side of the road. We don't just run and grab up a duck in the middle of a pond and cut his head off. We don't
Right.
do that here. Right.
yeah.
And so there hasn't been, and I don't think it's just the foreigners who are having this problem. We don't even have we have the same problem as it relates to our children.
Right.
We don't know what they're supposed to be integrating into themselves. There's no discipleship process to integrate into American society, and because it's up for grabs.
And this is, I mean, I'll just say, this is why the Baptist Presbyterian conversation is actually more important than I think people realize, is because we're arguing, Presbyterians are arguing that you're raising your kids up into a Christian family.
Absolutely.
They're Christian kids being raised up in a Christian family. And in the same way, this whole illegal immigration problem, as you pointed out, is like we have no center of what it means to be a culture as a nation anymore. No identity. I mean, like, we believe that America is a Christian nation. We believe that America is falling from that grace, falling from that identity. We're prodigal America. And so when people come into our country anymore, it's just a melting pot of what?
Yeah.
Of goo.
Yeah,
Toby's got the Bible open.
I know. I saw that, and I was like, "Ooh, do I won't even ask?"
Well, I actually just thought of an answer to my question. I just asked you: are they doing pagan things with the decapitated ducks? And I actually have an answer. I guess regardless of what they're doing, it is pagan. It is that is how pagans act.
Yeah.
They just grab random animals and just kill them and start eating eat them. And I thought of Acts 15. So in Acts 15, this is actually the prohibition. So this is the question. The controversy was over whether Gentiles had to become Jews to be full Christians. And the Judaizers were saying, yes, they have to be circumcised. They have to keep the ceremonial laws.
Right.
And they had the first church council in Acts 15, and the decision was that to the Gentiles who are turned to God, we write unto them that they abstain from pollution of idols, from fornication, from things strangled, and from blood. That's it. They don't need to become Jews. And it's always, and it sometimes puzzles commentators because they're like, well, idolatry, that makes sense. That's the first table of the law. Fornication, that makes sense. That's the second table of the law. But why strangle things in blood?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is that's the way pagans act. So it's closely associated with idolatry. The way you serve idols, the way idolaters act with their food is they rip off their heads and frequently just start eating them. And there's a distinction there between the way that Christians and pagans eat and prepare food. And so I think it is pagan. I think it is pagan.
So this got me thinking, we had actually 5 shootings last week. We talked about the Georgia one. But there's 5 shootings last week where I think 4 or more people were
That's
killed.
just it, just 5.
Just 5 in terms of like 4 or more people were killed. These stats, and again, like I don't know if these stats include like gang shootings where gang on gang members are shooting each other, where it's some sort of interwar in the local city or whatever. But apparently, there's been about 385 mass shootings this year,
defined as
that's
4 or more deaths in the shooting.
4 or more deaths.
4 or more deaths or more. And again, I don't know what the definitions within that because it could be just like gang on gang violence.
Right.
It's like it's very different.
Chicago's having mass shootings all the time.
Yeah, all the time, right? But think about that. That is so. To this point, we're just barely half a year over, and that's basically 2 mass shootings per day for this year so far. 300, right? 385,
right?
A little more than two mass shootings a day. That's a lot. And I started thinking about like this illegal immigration problem that. As it relates to like pagan practices, pagan culture. And 2 things came to mind. First of all, I think one of the reasons why we have these public school shootings where kids are shooting their own peers, shooting their own teachers, is because the public schools have been lying to them for decades. Lie. And one of the things that I had one of my kids a couple weeks ago. We were talking about homework, and he lied to me about his homework, and I took him into our room and I explained to him. I was like, "Hey, man, when you lie to me, you're treating me like your enemy." That's one of the fundamental things of what a lie is doing. It's saying, "I don't trust you. You're not on my team. You are an enemy." And that's the idea behind like deception, warlike deception. You put on camouflage. You're trying to deceive, right? And in the same way, when the public schools are teaching them evolution. They're lying about evolution. They're lying about their origin story.
They're lying about that you can have a decent life without God.
That's right.
That truth can exist without God.
Yep. And so these kids, no wonder they're turning around and treating their classmates like they're enemies.
Right.
Because they've been no one can trust each other. They're all lying to each other.
Right.
And then I think the second thing I think that to me we should be more shocked about than this Haitian duck thing is the fact that third world countries are bringing their pagan practices into the United States, and the public school system is raising our kids into third world pagan practices.
Well, we've said that bringing your idols into this country are fine because we're doing pagan practices.
That's right.
Right, we're teaching them in our schools. Like we've completely said that it's okay to have idols. Right. It's okay to teach about idols, and it's okay. And you know what? You don't have to integrate into what has come before you. The history has come before you and told you that God has made you man and woman. You can decide whether or not whatever you are, whatever it is you want to be. I was at what's the place where they have all the rides at? Silverwood. And I was at Silverwood. Thank you, Pastor. And with my family and my daughter, we were standing there, and about, I don't know, a block away, my daughter says, "Oh boy, a furry." And I'm like, there's no flurries coming out. This is a nice, wonderful day. And then it got a little closer, and I didn't see the person, but I heard a guy say, "Hey, what the bleep is that?" And I looked, and it's a kid who is all dressed in, some sort of rabbit-like, has a tail on and and I know they're a thing, but I hadn't seen one in person. And I was just like, oh boy, we're not going to make it.
Did you say, "What's up, Doc"?
No, but here was the thing though. So this goes back to Gabe's point. As bad as the situation was, Pastor Toby's so proud of himself.
I know. Man, I would have gone to the store and bought myself a carrot just to go back to create that scene.
He was shocked. But as bad as that was, there were a bunch of other points that led up to that.
Right.
I saw a young man with his mom and sisters on a ride with his fingernails and toes painted. I saw girls who were probably 13, 14 years old hugged up with boys and kissing on each other. And I'm seeing just the whole disintegration, the way they were even dressed. I'm like, what do you guys do? You're out in public.
Right.
So we don't just have the whole idea and understanding how you present yourself. These come from the home. Yeah. This was going to ask you, Pastor, because I see it as there's 3 different things that are set up to help people integrate into a society: the religion, the family, and then the laws, right, of that nation. And that those laws have to come from religion, right? And so they're working together. And so for that to happen, you have to have a complete breakdown of the family. So there's no integration point for the people that are there. They don't know where they come from. They're just an idea somehow that's materialized through their own thoughts.
Right.
Bad. Right. There's no one wants to claim America was a Christian nation, so it actually has a connection to history and time in the past. Right. So it can be whatever the idea is we want it to be here. Right. And then the laws, no one cares to enforce them because they don't care about the nation. Right. And so then all these 3 different points have to completely break down. And I'm thinking to myself, the people on the ground are complaining about how do you get your integration points to break down so far and so bad that you can't have anybody at this point integrating into America? Because this is not the first time we've had people come over to our shores. Right. Historically, that's not a new thing.
Yeah, we've had immigrants.
We've had immigrants before.
Most of all of us are immigrants.
Right, exactly. But there has been at least something there.
Because there was a center to integrate into. Right. There was a center that we understood was, and I think you're right, the religion, laws, and family. I think are the integration points, and the center of it was Christ. Right.
Yes.
There was a
Christ in the family.
Christ over the law. Christ is who we worship in the church, our religion. Christ over the family, which is just family, church, and state. Right. Really, if we're thinking about it, it's just those 3 governments that God's established in the world, and it was Christ as Lord of all. And there was a Christian consensus for a long time, and you didn't necessarily have to be a Christian, but you had to be good with that consensus. You had to integrate into that consistency, that consensus. You had to agree to abide by those Christian laws. You had to agree to abide by and be respectful of that religion, Protestant Christian religion, and by and large, you were expected by law and by social pressure to have a family that was at least externally Christian. You had to stay married to your wife. You had to be faithful to your wife.
There was no such thing as no-fault divorce.
You needed to provide for your family, and that was enshrined in law to certain degrees because you had laws against adultery and no-fault divorce. Yes, and it was also enshrined in just the social expectations of religion. As you were asking me about that, the thing that comes to mind that it's sort of at the center of it all, sort of like what is I think it's right. That all breaks down. So now you don't have anything, there's no integration point. Right. There's nothing to integrate them into. And I think this very center of it is abortion. I think abortion is the point at which we are murdering our future, like literally murdering it, and saying we are nihilistic. We do not believe that life is sacred, and what we are doing is making claims about all those things. Legally, it's been it's up to the it was law of the land for 50 years according to Roe versus Wade, now overturned, but still basically defended in every state to some extent, some more than others. Yep. And so there's the laws, which says if you want to murder your unborn baby, you may. Okay, that what are we striking at? The image of God. That's what we're saying. There's no God in heaven. We don't have to answer to him. We can pick and choose what marriage is. We've enshrined sodomite marriage into law. We can pick and choose when life begins or doesn't begin. We are the masters of our own fate. Yeah. And right on schedule, of course, right intertwined into that is the destruction of the family. And we're literally destroying the family by murdering our babies. Yeah. I think I look at this and I think, so who's worse? Who's more pagan? The people that have murdered millions of their own babies for convenience wealth. That's right. Or those who are ripping the heads off ducks. Yeah, that's right. I actually want to say that if that's all they're doing, that's a lot. That's a lot less pagan. We're the pagans.
Yeah, right.
So we make the Aztecs look friendly.
Yeah, it's not the answer I want to hear.
So like, I mean, I'm grateful for it because I think when we have these moments like the tranny surgery thing that all of a sudden gets flared up and like these doctors are getting paid buco bucks to pressure kids into chemical castrations and mastectomies and all the rest of this, and everybody says, "Wait, what are we doing?"
Yeah.
It's like, man, well, better late than never.
Yeah.
Because we were doing the sexual confusion thing for decades before people were like, why not?
Yeah.
Why can't I turn my boy into a girl? Why can't my boy be a bunny?
Yeah. I was going back and listening to, which everybody should, Jeff Schaefer, when he came on the show.
Yes.
When we were talking to him about how we lost the war on abortion, how we ended up getting it. He started back, it was at 72.
Yeah, right.
And
way earlier than that.
But
he was talking about Margaret Sanger. He was talking about birth control.
Yeah, but that was the thing that hit. It was like, birth control in married couples was the beginning of you don't have to be fruitful.
Right.
Like, it's okay for you.
Marriage does not have to ordinarily include children.
Yeah. What it's supposed to do.
When it was enshrined into law that children are an accessory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Children are an option, not an ordinary part of natural marriage. We were already on the path, Schaefer points out, to murdering children. Because if that's a right to choose not to have children, well, what happens if you accidentally get pregnant? Then don't you have the right to stop that?
Yep.
Didn't Schaefer point out like a court case? Like,
there was Supreme Court decisions that decided that was the case.
I need to go back and re-listen to that.
But
everybody should.
I just think the thing I was going to say about the transgender surgeries, the thing I want to say about this, the murdering of the ducks and kittens, if that's happening, whatever, is this the kind of thing is like God sometimes, in his mercy, actually draws with a big, massive crayon.
The stories all connect. Yeah.
Like you are the pagans.
Right.
But the temptation, of course, is to be self-righteous and be like, we don't do that here. Right. No, we just murder our babies by the millions. You're talking about school shootings. We murder 3,000 kids every day in this land.
Yeah.
That's a 9/11 every day.
Yeah.
Who are the barbarians?
Yeah.
We do it in very sterile, whitewashed rooms. We do it behind closed doors, and then we chuck the baby bodies in the dumpster in the back.
Well, and I think that's what's so eye-opening about this is we have illegal Haitian immigrants coming over and eating ducks and bringing their pagan practices. That's not surprising. But what we don't see is that the public schools have been inculcating pagan practices into our kids through the public school system.
Right.
I mean, in one sense, the public school system is turning our kids into illegal immigrants.
Right.
They're disenfranchising the family. They're disconnecting mom, dad from the kids. They're teaching our kids pagan practices because Planned Parenthood's in the public schools.
Right.
They're teaching our kids
sexual perversions in the public schools.
The Einstein case, I believe, is what it was called.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And so they're just illegal immigrants are bringing in pagan practices, and we're bringing our kids up into pagan practices.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I disagree. Yeah. I mean, the public schools are doing that, but we still have a choice. We're sending our kids to that. We're the ones that are like, here you go, kid.
No, we've all signed off to it.
Yeah,
we've all signed off. We spend millions and billions of money every year on these pagan public pagan institutions.
It's been pointed out before that the place where religion, the public religion, touches down. The place where public religion touches down is in the education of children, the enculturation of children. Mm-hmm. So that everyone is always bringing their children up in the nurture and admonition of some God.
Yeah, that's right.
It's inescapable.
It's inescapable concept. Everyone is always bringing their children up in the nurture and admonition of some God. And that means that education is either oriented to Christ, the nurture and admonition of the Lord, or it's oriented to some other God. Mm-hmm. The God of self, the God of Molech, the God of Demos, the God of hedonistic pleasure.
Yep.
It's and I would say by that very token, then public schools are the established religion of America.
That's right. That's right.
It's not whether you're going to have an official religion.
Right.
It's just which.
Yeah.
And we have an official religion. It's established in the government funded public schools, which insist that it not be Christian.
Yeah.
which means it has to be pagan.
Yeah,
It
right.
has to be any other religion, any other God, but not Jesus Christ. And so
they're homegrowing all these pagan practices.
Right.
Like, we're shocked about these Haitians coming in and ripping off ducks, but we've missed the fact that Planned Parenthood's teaching our kids how to kill babies in public schools.
Right.
How to, cut off our junk in public schools.
Right.
How
to commit various sexual perversions. Like, sex ed classes are basically how to be a pervert. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's...
And the Christianity Today wrote this article. Actually, it was the theology editor.
Of
Christianity Today.
Yeah.
What does it take to be a theology editor?
Oh, well, you got to be a woman.
You got to be a woman.
That's
Okay. Theology editor.
Stephanie McDade, theology editor for Christianity Today, and she's got a three-year-old kid.
Preferably, I'm not saying anything about the author, but preferably to be a theology editor at Christianity Today, you should be a sexual minority also.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm not going to say what kind. Just that'd be preferable.
So, and I got a couple summarizing points here.
Public school is like strength training for our children's faith. Let them wrestle with worldly counter narratives to God's truth while they're still under your care.
Mm-hmm. Because you can't do that unless you go to public school.
This is like something that probably could have been written like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're like it's like
behold its fruit.
Behold, yeah, it's like exactly. It's like what? I mean, we are imbeciles.
But even 50 years,
we are utter fools.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the insanity. Like the definition of insanity is like trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
And she's still arguing for that same thing. Here we are, 50 years later. Yeah. Keep up the argument. Keep it going.
Right. Yeah. I mean, most of the kids that go through public schools will end up pagans. Keep trying.
Yeah. And statistically, that's the case. So at one point, she says in her article, studies show regular church attendance has a greater impact on a child's faith than the type of school they attend. Now, while I believe that can be the case, but the kind of Christian family that decides to send their kids to public school is already discipled their kids to think it's okay to go to public school. Mm-hmm. So you're already getting the church that says it's okay to send your kids to public school is the kind of church that's already been discipling their kids in some sort of lukewarm environment on this whole thing.
Right.
And here we are. We've said this on the show before. The Southern Baptist Convention did a study on their own kids and found up to 80% of their kids were leaving their faith by their freshman year in college.
Right.
Up to 80%.
Right.
If your discipleship fruit is losing 80%.
Right.
No product, no company operates this way. No.
Right.
I mean, you can't even get a batting average of 200 and think you're going to get up to the plate every time, right? It's like if your batting average is 200, you're out. It's not working. And so so the fruit of this kind of thinking, of this kind of article, is basically, hey, I'm going to encourage you to lose 80% of your children in your church.
Yeah.
I don't get so if we're understanding that you have a strong child because they go to church once a week and hear the word of God, how much better would it be for them to learn math every day?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No,
from the creator of the world.
If they go to church.
So you say that they are stronger, they have a religious bend and towards Christ in this manner, but what happens on a daily basis, that can't be improved. So if you want a stronger child, wouldn't it make sense to have that child trained in the admonition of the Lord every possible day that you could? It doesn't make any sense to me to say, okay, well, we got that covered. We're good.
Yeah.
I want them to have knowing what my kids are going to be facing.
Well, but I think you have to also understand that at Christianity Today, to turn out Christian means that you can go to a church with the rainbow flag, vote for Kamala, and be hooked up with the same-sex partner.
Yeah. But
you believe in God.
Yeah.
So I mean, like the bar is so low.
Yeah.
So
the bar is so low.
I wonder if you write an article like this because you're starting to see that people don't want to go this way.
Yeah.
This is, usually times
even liberals.
Right.
Even the liberals are starting to actually, and since COVID, it's true.
Yes.
Even the liberals are like, "Whoa, this is crazy."
Yeah. This is really interesting.
You want my kid to be a furry?
Because now
next they're going to be eating ducks. I mean, come on. Right?
I don't even know what I was about to say, Pastor.
I'm sorry. I was just on a roll. Business owners, is your company struggling to grow? What if I told you that the right employee could grow your business by 5, 10, or even 25%? You'd be crazy not to take that deal, right? That's exactly what redballoon.work Recruiter offers. Our personalized source and screen process connects you with top talent, increasing revenue and reducing costs. Visit redballoon.work today and transform your hiring.
Gabe, did you want to add anything more to that?
I mean,
that's ridiculous.
She's arguing one of her arguments is, the public school is kind of like a training ground for strengthening your faith. We've heard that before because your worldview is being challenged and you got to grow in faith to answer those challenges. And it's no secret that my house almost burned down this summer.
I didn't know about it.
You didn't know about that?
No. When did that?
Yeah, when Trump's assassination.
It was Trump's assassination. I did not tell you about this.
No.
So I had
apparently it's a secret.
It's not to the rest of the community, but to you maybe, to my pastor. I had a burn can.
Left it away.
I had a burn can, and I lit my can and had a bunch of just scraps, wood stuff in my burn can. Let the fire go down, and I ran to Spence Hardware and ran back. So it was about 9-minute trip, just in and out. Came back, and the heat from the burn can got my grass caught on fire. And then I got back, and it was about a 15-foot round grass on fire thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I could do this. But then the hose wasn't there. I didn't have anything hooked up. I probably could have put out. And then literally like a minute later, the wind picked up. I mean, it's like, I just saw, God was just rolling out this trial right before me. And so as soon as the wind picked up, I was like, I can't do this. I know, so I called, Cash went and got Annie. Annie called 911. I called my neighbors and everything.
Yeah.
And so it was by my barn and went up the hill.
Oh.
And literally we got 5 feet from lighting my neighbor's wheat on fire. I mean, we were within feet of that.
Okay.
My neighbor, Mike Salisbury, just killed it, brought his backhoe over, threw dirt he's just throwing dirt all over the place. He won the day. The firemen showed up and helped too, but he won the day. So anyways, half my hill
that's a great story.
Half my hill got burnt, dude. Is it though? But in the end, it actually was pretty good, healthy for my forest up there. It actually ended up being a healthy thing. But anyways, and I made a mistake. I didn't monitor my burn can like I should have, and it caught on fire. Anyways, my point is, she's saying that, going into public school at age 12 or 13 or 8 or 9, whatever it is,
5
or all their life is like strengthening their faith. Well, I almost burned my house down. That strengthened my faith. It's like you're going to make a disastrous decision, and then you're going to turn around and argue, this is good for our faith.
Right.
It's like that. I'm talking about a foolish argument.
Right. It's the sort of like, shall we do evil so that good may come?
Right, exactly.
Just because God does work evil for good does not mean you do evil in order that good may come. That's testing God. It's one of the satanic temptations. Exactly. Throw yourself off. It says angels will hold you up, will bear you up. But it also says in the Word of God that you're not to put the Lord your God to a test.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that's a great example, Gabe, and I think that's exactly right. That you are, just because God sometimes does turn our foolish mistakes into good. And some kids,
praise God.
Some kids have gone through, survived. Some kids have gone through, and maybe they really did become great apologists. And fine, but that doesn't mean it's a wise thing to do.
I don't think a person who writes an article like this doesn't know what time it is.
Yeah.
This is your enemy. And I would never make an argument to say, maybe I should give my kids to my enemy to see how well they might potentially.
8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 13 grades.
No way.
Right.
No way. I would never do that. That's because that's the enemy. Why would you give your kids to the enemy to train up your children? I mean, this is what Vody talks about. If you send your kids over to Caesar, don't be surprised when they come back good Romans.
At the same time, I'll run back the other side and I'll give one little teeny little grain of dink.
All right.
I do think that as we haul our kids out of the public schools, which you must do, as you haul your kids out of the world, as you reject feminism and egalitarianism and all the DEI, woke, paganism, all of it, as you do that, and praise God that you do, you also need to be thinking about preparing your kids for the real world.
Absolutely.
And I think there is a kind of head in the sand, no cable, no internet, no nothing.
There's retreatism.
We don't talk to anybody about nothing because it's me and my wife and my kids. And then they turn 18 and they get a job somewhere. They go off to take a job somewhere, or they go to school somewhere or whatever. And have you prepared them for that?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you need to do it very carefully, very selectively. But if they're never coming in contact with paganism, if they're never coming in contact with a non-Christian,
with the battles that you're going to want them to fight when they're 25, 30, 35 years old.
The one tiny little grain of truth in the headline is, yes, it is true that you want your kids ready to do battle with unbelief in the real world.
Yeah. But the trick is that you do it God's way, not the public school way.
Yeah,
it's like, you're doing it my way.
Exactly. And so I think, I know,
not their way.
Like, this might mean very, very carefully monitoring, sports teams.
Yeah.
Maybe you have your kids on a community sports team, and there's going to be some non-Christians on that team, and they're going to have to work that out. Maybe it's neighborhood kids where they're playing with some of the neighborhood kids. They don't go to school with them, but they play with them sometimes. And you got to do regular reconnaissance work. How's that going? Yeah. Are you the leader, or are you following them? Are you giving into peer pressure, or are they giving into your peer pressure about obedience and righteousness and holiness? You sit down and you watch a show, or you watch a movie or something, and then you're pausing it and you're saying, "Hey, what's going on right there? What's that worldview? Is that honoring parents? Is that honoring God? Is that what's going on?" But you can do that very, very carefully, and it needs to be done though, so that they will actually be ready. Because I do think that sometimes there's a kind of retreatism and a kind of hide your head and just from all of the world, such that you can raise kids that aren't ready.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes up and gives them an argument for evolution or against the existence of God or whatever, and they're not ready for it.
Gabe, did we get the Bortons thing, or we don't have time to play it, do we?
The video was
Pastor's got to run. Okay, real quick before you run, Pastor, I want to, with all the integration points that have broken down, how do we? Because I think we're looking at this, and you talked about the peer pressure. Right now, with the way things have gone, with all of institutions that have failed us, now the integration point is we have to integrate into that society if you're going to live in America, right? We have to allow for certain things. We have to allow for a culture that's fallen, because it's reversed now. It's not like, oh, there's a neutral ground. No. The people now that are the foreigners that need to integrate are y'all, right? It gets reversed. Right. So how do we then, from this place, start to restore both civility and law, the religious reality of where we come from, and then the family? Where's a good place for us to spend our time into developing strong institutions so that we can fight back?
The first thing to realize is that paganism is a lie. Gabe talked about paganism earlier as a lie, and it really is a lie. It's a complete sham. Jesus Christ is Lord of this world.
Yeah.
And so there actually is a real America.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a real America. And it's completely covered over in all kinds of debauchery and paganism. But there's a real America that honors Christ, and there's still a segment. There's still a remnant of faithful Bible-believing Christians in this land who know that, and they're living according to that old America, the real America. Right.
They're the Robin Hoods, huh?
Yes, and so I think we need to be thinking that way. It's actually at Prodigal America in a couple of months. That's my talk. Yeah. My talk is something, I can't remember what it's called, but something about the real America.
What it means to be a real American.
Yeah, and this is what it means actually in Philippians 4 when Paul says to remember that your citizenship is in heaven. He's not saying, so don't worry about this world. Right. You're going to die and go to heaven when you die. No, what he's saying is he's talking to Philippians who understood the notion of citizenship based on the fact that Philippi was a Roman colony. And it was one of the most prestigious Roman colonies. And so what Philippi was known as is a little Rome. But the problem was that because of paganism, even that wasn't the real Rome. Yeah. They weren't being real Romans because they had demon-possessed girls telling fortunes. Right. And they had unjust civil system where they were, Paul and Silas were beaten without a trial and thrown into prison in the middle of the night. They had politicians that wanted to just usher them out. Paul came, the gospel came in order to heal Philippi, in order to bring the real Rome to Philippi.
Yeah.
And so that's what it means to have your citizenship in heaven. It means that you're a colonist. And so we are colonists of heaven. And so in your family, in your church, in all of your dealings in the public square, you want to be living as a real American from heaven, where all the nations will be at the end of history.
On earth as it is in heaven. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you a bunch of kids. And if you have a bunch of kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politics.
The American church really is gay.
Are you asking me out on a date?
Effeminate.
The Bible appears more to whisper when it comes to sexual sin.
Shallow.
I said, I want the African American 7.
And full of cowardly leaders.
Are we going to keep bickering over secondary issues?
America desperately needs to return to the Father. Either we fall on the rock and are broken, or we fall on the ground and are crushed under that rock. To fall on top of the rock and be broken is exactly the condition in which God brings reformation and revival. So which way is it, Prodigal America? Are you coming home to the Father? Join us this Reformation Day in Fort Worth, Texas, October 31st through November 2nd at Will Rogers Event Center, just days before our presidential election. And join with the thousands of us for the blessing of gathering together with God's people and celebrating God's goodness with beer and psalms. Hear from speakers such as Dr. James White, Pastor Toby Sumter, Pastor Doug Wilson, Dr. George Grant, Gabe and Knox, Steve Dace, and more. Don't forget our Business Makers Conference, Jumpy Castles for the kiddos, after parties, single events, the pastor's luncheon, the business leaders luncheon, and many more surprises coming. America has squandered her inheritance far too long. It's time she repents and returns home to her Father. Fight, Laugh, Feast presents Prodigal America.